Ever realized you missed recording a part of your painting only after finishing the whole artwork? Yeah, that actually happened to me today. But honestly, I still love this still life illustration too much not to share with you. So I decided to give it a go. Now for today's artwork, tell me one thing. Who doesn't like chocolates? I mean, I definitely do, and clearly I was craving some today. So that's exactly what we are painting, some delicious chocolates. Let's get started. So I'm drawing a few simple rectangular shapes for the chocolates and giving them a slight 3D form, nothing too fancy, just enough so that when we add color later on, they look a bit more realistic. And tell me in the comments, are you more of a chocolate person or a cupcake kind of a person? As you can see, I'm just drawing very basic shapes, rectangulars and all that. And just a small tip here, I am actually using a reference image to understand what exactly the shape would look from my perspective and how the things would turn out with that particular placement. So either you can use a reference image or you can actually place the real objects in front of you and draw from that reference. So choice is up to you. I am using a reference here just to get a more realistic and three-dimensional structure here. Once the sketch is done, we will move straight into the watercolor part and start bringing these chocolates to life. Okay, so a funny and slightly painful thing happened here. I was happily painting, thinking everything was being recorded perfectly. But then I realized I had never hit the record button. Yep, that happened. And I missed recording the base layer. Nothing too complicated though, I just applied a very light, saturated, burnt sienna wash all over the chocolates. And this is how it looks after the first layer. So let's just pick it up from here and continue our painting. Next, I go in with the second darker layer to build up the shadows and some depth. For this, I'm using burnt sienna again, but this time in a slightly more saturated and darker mix. I'm imagining the light source is coming from the top right corner, so naturally anything on the left side or underneath will fall into the shadow. Keeping that in mind, I started adding these darker tones to those areas. Again, I am using the reference image and working on the shadows accordingly. This layer is just a bit darker than the first one, but it really helps in creating that 3D effect and making the chocolates look more realistic. For the darkest areas, the ones that are farthest away from the light or deep in shadow, I go in with the most saturated version of burnt sienna. And to make things a bit more interesting, I mix a touch of purple here. And I'm intentionally not using black here because black can make the painting look flat and dull. Instead, this burnt sienna and purple mix gives a rich, deep tone while still keeping the colors lively and dimensional. This really helps in pushing that three-dimensional look so the chocolates don't feel flat on the page anymore. Once I'm done with all the highlights and depth of the chocolates, I move on to cast the shadows. For that, I use the same mix burnt sienna and purple, but this time I added a hint of blue to dull it out and create a soft, neutralish gray tone. And just like we did in the previous videos, I layer a slightly more saturated shadow on top of it to add a depth to the shadow and interest. And that's it, we are done with this one. Honestly, these chocolates are looking so good right now, I'm not sure if I painted them or just made myself hungry. Let me know if you're ready to take a bite. And if you're trying this with me, don't forget to tag me in your creations. Just before I call it a day, a little splatter on the entire artwork just to add a little drama. Thanks for watching. Please do like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.